topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
What's working on purpose anyway? Each week, we ponder the answer to this question. People ache for meaning and purpose at work, to contribute their talents passionately and know their lives really matter. They crave being part of an organization that inspires them and helps them grow into realizing their highest potential. Business can be such a force for good in the world, elevating humanity. In our program, we provide guidance and inspiration to help usher in this world we all want, working on purpose. Now, here's your host, Dr. Elise Cortez.
Welcome back to the Working on Purpose program. Thanks for tuning in again this week. Great to have you. I'm your host, Dr. Elise Cortez, joining you live from Dallas, which is home base for me. If we've not met yet and you don't know me, I'm a management consultant and an organizational logotherapist specializing in activating meaning and purpose inside organizations. My team and I help companies to detect and articulate their purpose, to thread it through culture and operations. We work with forward-reaching organizations to develop inspirational leaders who create cultures where people actually want to come to work and do their best. And we provide programs that enable individual team members and leaders to discover and unleash their passion and purpose at work to catalyze fulfillment, engagement, and productivity. You can learn more about us and how we can work together at elisecortez.com. Also, if you like the content of this program, you may be interested in my next book coming out in March of 2023. It's called The Great Revitalization, How Activating Meaning and Purpose Can Radically Enliven Your Business. You can pre-order your copy at bookshop.org or barnesandnoble.com. Now let's get into today's program. With us is Robert Craig, who is the founder of Robert Craig Films. He's out to create films that bring a high level of entertainment with spiritually uplifting storylines. He joins today from Middle Vista, California. Robert, welcome to Working on Purpose.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very, very welcome. We can't see you, so if you could turn your camera must have gotten turned off. So come back and let's see that glorious face of yours.
Sure, I can see it on my end. I don't know why you can't see it. Oops. I don't know why you're not seeing it. I see it on my side. Gosh, this would make a nice little comedy.
Right. Well, so producer says he can see it, and that's all that matters. So we'll go for it. There you go. You're back for me. All right.
Oh.
See, this is the thing, is you were teasing us with your entrance. Thank you for that, Robert.
There you go. Here I am. I was there the whole time.
I loved it. I just magically couldn't see you. So even better. All right. So before we get into your films, Robert, we just have to start with this amazing career that you kicked off with a gutter glove company manufacturing gutter guards in 1996. So what's fascinating to me in the work that I do, because I do care so much about the world of work, this is where I feel like this is the sandbox of life, right? This is where we can become and realize our potential. So first start and tell us, how did you get into the gutter business and what did you like about that? What did that mean to you?
Sure. So before I got into the gutter business, which is a prelude of why I got into the gutter business, I had a tree company where I was a certified arborist, and we operated our tree business in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm not too far from where I'm at here. And we did tree pruning, tree removals, stump grinding, arborist reports, the whole thing. But I'd say it was 1995, I was doing a walkthrough at a homeowner association with the property manager, giving suggestions of what type of tree work needed to be done. And I said, those trees need to be pruned back away from the building because they're just too close to the building. And then she said, well, you know what? We just paid $7,000 to have the gutters cleaned. And so please prune those branches as far back as you can. And then I looked at her and I go, really? You paid that much for cleaning gutters here? I tell you what, can I submit a gutter cleaning bid next year at this property? And she said, oh, yeah, sure. And then I said, can I leave a gutter cleaning bid for all of your properties? And she said yes. And then, of course, I contacted all the other property managers at that particular property management firm, and I asked them the same thing. Can I give gutter cleaning estimates on all of your properties? And basically, everybody said yes. We had a great reputation. And the next year rolled around, 1996, and lo and behold, we must have gotten nearly half of all the bids that we gave. And so that's kind of what spawned the gutter cleaning business. And shortly after that, in 1996, 97, 98, 99, we offered other services like gutter repair, gutter installations. But through this entire process, we noticed that there was a lot of gutters when we would do cleaning that would have gutter guards on them, and we noticed that many of them didn't work, because here we are getting paid a bunch of money to clean out these gutters and having to remove the gutter guard first because the flaws in the gutter guard allowed the debris to get in. And this just happened time and time again, and it got really frustrating. But we learned a lot. We learned what worked as a gutter guard and what didn't work as a gutter guard. And mind you, we cleaned out well over 5 million feet of gutter during those several years, because we had contracts with apartment complexes, homeowner associations, universities, including Stanford, commercial buildings. And in 2003, we decided to invent a gutter guard that would work. And hopefully I'm not giving you too long of a detail here, but stainless steel micro mesh gutter guards we invented those in 2003. And kind of a long story short, in 2008, 2009, we learned that Consumer Reports did a secret testing of 19 gutter guards across the country, and we happened to be one of them. And lo and behold, we actually got the highest rating from Consumer Report out of those gutter guards, and it was announced in 3 separate magazine issues over 2010, 2011. We still have the highest score today. We got the attention of also being able to get our products into Costco, Sam's Club, Home Depot, Lowe's. We're basically the highest rated gutter guard everywhere, even on Amazon. So we're very thankful. We're very blessed with that. But that's not where my passion is. My passion always been into filmmaking. And I've been wanting to make movies since 1998, but I took a 30-year kind of detour. I believe that
As is necessary sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that God did that to me in my life because I wasn't ready to be used by him. That's how I've always looked at it. And because back in 1998, 99, I just wanted to be rich and famous, be a celebrity, that whole 9 yards. And, I'm a Christian too. But I believe that the Lord said, no, your heart is not in the right space, but I think I might be able to gift you being able to make films. But first, I want you to do this tree business, and I want you to do the gutter business. And then when your heart changes to where I can use you, then let's see about you making movies. And then several years ago, I took on a CEO for my company because it was time for me to slowly leave the company. So in order to do so, I wanted to make sure that the business was fully set up so that it can run on its own. So I sold my CEO portion of the company. I'm still the major shareholder. We have a large office for manufacturing and a large manufacturing plant in California and also Tennessee. And our corporate office is also in Tennessee. And so a couple of years ago, I formed Robert Craig Films because I think the time was right. And now my attitude has completely changed about filmmaking. I just want to make films that are spiritually uplifting. I want to make films for the Lord. I want to spend the rest of my life, whether I live another hour or 25 years, in helping God build his kingdom. And so with that inspiration behind me, that gives me focus of what I want to do, what I want to produce. So I resigned from my company last year, and we have several films under slate that we're producing, and we're really excited about what's happening with that. And I know that's kind of a long-winded answer to you, but I think I covered the gutter guard stuff. Shall I pause? See if you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I want to say a couple things. So one, it's very clear to me, Robert, that you are a man who, when you see opportunities, you don't just sort of go, oh, hey, that's interesting. You dive into that. So we want to celebrate that first. Clearly, you've got an eye for seeing an opportunity and then really making something of it. So I'm really excited to see where you take your film business, just anchored in that kind of a habit. It seems to me. And then two, this show is called Working on Purpose. This is about showcasing people and organizations and thought leadership around the purpose realm. And so I really appreciate that you have been obedient to this, to your calling, and we're patient and waiting for its time to be able to come. So I love that. And I really appreciate that, you do see yourself as a servant. And I think that's gorgeous. So now what I'd love to hear is, I know that you're out really to make films that are high level of entertainment, but also spiritually uplifting. So you started already to tell us about what was behind that you are being in service, but why is that why important to you? What do you hope will happen as more people see your films?
That's because I don't want to just make entertaining films so people are happy after they leave the theater and they've had an experience of being just overwhelmed with fascinating entertainment. Hollywood's doing a great job at that. I don't want to do just that. I would like to use the opportunity to do that. But in addition to doing that, I would like to produce films that have meaning, that are social impact, that are cause related, films that can inspire you to bring more awareness on things that are just really hurting our world, films that will cause people to have action. Example, so our film that we're producing right now, No Address, it's a film that's totally about the homeless. And I've always had a passion for wanting to help the homeless. I'm involved with our local ministry here at church and helping out the homeless on a weekly basis with my family. And so when the script came along, we gravitated towards it, and we have an incredible calling, an incredible list of people that are helping us put this film together. In fact, even this week, we're reaching out to Hollywood and looking for some movie stars. We made offers to some big celebrities that I can't announce, but hopefully they'll say yes, and we're really excited about that. But getting back to your question, to me, it's about making a film that is highly entertaining, but with purpose and with meaning and with cause, and to hopefully drive people to action.
Okay, so Robert, and you're reminding me of something really, really precious. I remember I was probably 19 years old and I hadn't gone to college. I didn't go to college until I was 24. But I remember telling my boyfriend at the time, I said, I know what I want to do. I want to be able to share my message that I think is compelling and interesting through film. I wanted then to do that. I never did do it, mind you. But talking to you, I'm reminded of that, right? So what a compelling platform to be able to tell messages that inspire people to do something, to make a difference, to not just be, to your point, entertained and amused, but actually inspired to go and help and do something about it. I think that's brilliant. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, Robert.
No, thank you very much. And I bring something I think unique to the table, because when I got into producing films, it's like, well, what can I do? I haven't produced films my whole life, but I'm surrounding with myself from people who have, because I don't want to reinvent. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but realizing, finding the right screenplay and finding the right script, being a platform where I can reach out there and hopefully make a difference. And really that's the whole deal. And so what I bring to the table is marketing and promotions. To me, in any business, the two most important things are the product that you're making, and you have to do marketing. Most of the time, people just focus on making their widget, but they don't really spend the time on building an audience. And what I found lacking in the entertainment world for independent producers, they're making movies, but they're not building an audience. I mean, they might, get one press release, one story out there, but they're really missing the boat. They're spending probably 98% of the time on making the movie and 2% of the time on marketing. To me, marketing is the most important thing in the world. I put 50% importance and effort into making the movie as well as I do into marketing it. Because when we see it, when we visit studios or when we pitch what we're doing to a studio to buy our films, we want to be able to say, hey, here's a great film. And oh, by the way, here's 2 million customers, 5 million customers. So, we're we're promoting our films way before we even film principal photography, which is like totally unheard of. But I like that because it allows us to tell our story now and to build a following along with what we're doing.
You could teach a lot of us in the business world how to be better at that, Robert.
Yeah.
I did read that in your bio, and I really appreciate that. I have to believe that is part of a big reason that you have been as successful as you are, is that you know how to socialize who you are and what you're offering. I have to believe that's a big part of the reason that you have been so successful in the enterprises, the tree, as well as the gutter business.
No, absolutely. And when I was doing the gutter business, I was really so passionate about always wanting to produce movies, but I never really had the opportunity. But anytime we had the opportunity to produce an educational film, educational video for our products or a commercial, I did do a mini documentary on our company. Oh gosh, I just loved doing it. Absolutely loved it.
And certainly I can see that I have to imagine that the accumulation of that experience didn't hurt you in the actual film business.
Absolutely. I believe that everything that I learned for the tree business and in the gutter business there are so many takeaways. To me, on the movie business, not to play it down, but I'm just making another widget. Really, that's what it is. Whatever widget is on my plate, it's still going to take pretty much close to the same kind of business strategies and business common sense. So I'm very fortunate that I have all of that, and we've learned a lot in the gutter business through failures and successes. That hopefully we can fast track a success with our film, and we believe that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that all of our listeners and viewers really hear that all of your past experience, especially if you're out to reinvent yourself, can be repurposed and utilized and serve as a foundation of what you do next, which is exactly what I think you've done. And that's important because people feel like, oh, did I waste my time in that career? No, it's part of it's part of the foundation of where you're going next. So let's
Sure.
celebrate that and step into our first break here. I'm your host, Dr. Elise Cortez. We are on the air with Robert Craig. He's the founder of Robert Craig Films, and he's out to create films that bring a high level of entertainment with spiritually uplifting storylines. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Dr. Elise Cortez is a management consultant specializing in meaning and purpose, an inspirational speaker and author. She helps companies visioneer for greater purpose among stakeholders and develop purpose-inspired leadership and meaning-infused cultures that elevate fulfillment, performance, and commitment within the workforce. To learn more or to invite Elise to speak to your organization, please visit her at elisecortez.com. Let's talk about how to get your employees working on purpose. This is Working on Purpose with Dr. Elise Cortez. To reach our program today or to open a conversation with Elise, send an email to Elise, A-L-I-S-E, at elisecortez.com. Now, back to Working on Purpose.
Thanks for staying with us. Before we get back into the program, I want to invite you to check out my first book that I wrote. It's called Purpose Ignited, How Inspiring Leaders Unleash Passion, Elevate Cause. I wrote it to awaken the readers to their passion and purpose and start them down the path of becoming inspirational leaders. And I use that as the basis of the content of my leadership program. So I hope you'll check it out. If you're just now joining us, my guest is Robert Craig. He's the founder of Robert Craig Films. We've been talking a bit about how we got into the business, and now I want to learn more about some of the films that you've just recently been launching. So I have a couple that I wanted to talk about, but is there some in particular that you want to start with? I want to just peel back some of those projects and what the message is that you're out to
Sure.
communicate.
No, sure. Go ahead. Whatever you like, just throw it at me.
Yeah. So the first one, of course, that I wanted to was The Lost Girls. I looked a little bit on your site about that. Seems quite fascinating. Tell us about the film and what do you hope to actually communicate and get people to do?
You know, what's interesting about that is that I wasn't looking to produce or to help out with The Lost Girls originally. It's a sex trafficking film and talking about, what women go through, what girls go through, and what you need to be careful about when you're living your life, because sex trafficking is a real deal and it's a horrible, heinous crime. Interestingly, it wasn't my first choice, but the way that I believe God was directing my life, it kept landing on my table, landing on my lap. Now, when I got on board with the Lost Girls, it was actually already produced, but they needed help. They needed some help financially. They needed help with marketing and some advertising. And so I kind of threw myself in there and felt, okay, God, I guess this is it. This is going to be the first one that I'm going to be helping out with. And I was able to get a producer credit out of it. At the time when I got on board, it was not streaming on the Lifetime channel, but working with the director and the producer. And it just, talking about the importance of marketing stuff and, the importance of, just start knocking on more doors. You have a distributor. Is that distributor really doing their job? And what do I know? I mean, I've never worked with a distributor before, but it's just common sense. Is your distributor really reaching out to all the streaming platforms? And so we actually had a conversation with the distributor and with the director, and we had our chat, we had our talk. And I really believe that that was a driving catalyst to help them to actually get out there. They really weren't doing, I think that they could have done a much better job than what they were doing. And a couple months later, they actually were thankful that Julia and myself, got with them, and they decided to reach out to Lifetime again. And this time they accepted, and that was really cool. I mean, that was, wow, that's awesome. And then Lifetime said that they would like to have a slightly shorter version, like maybe cut, I think it's 12 or 13 minutes out of it. And they wanted to make a really big deal out of it. And they paid a nice chunk of money to the organization that produced it, which is the director's nonprofit. And to do that, I funded some more money for them to actually help with the editing. And it's non-equity based. So all the money that we were throwing in there, we weren't making anything out of it. It was contribution based. And I was happy and I was fine with that because it was an opportunity for me to learn. And so we were able to deliver a slightly shorter version of The Lost Girls. And then, the Lifetime, they aired it multiple times, and it's available on the Lifetime streaming platform. And we also we had a special screening on The Lost Girls as well too, just here locally in our town. We had it on, I think it was July 30th, which was the International Day Against Trafficking in Persons, which is the international holiday that was adopted by the United Nations for bringing more awareness to sex trafficking. So what more of a perfect day to actually have that special screening. And so that's pretty much the nuts and bolts with the story with The Lost Girls.
So a couple questions now to follow up. Fascinating film, very important topic to talk about. So what I want to know is, what do you hope people will feel, think, and do as a result of seeing the film?
Well, that's an easy answer. And again, it's cause related and it's action related. When you watch this movie, it's really hard to watch it twice. It's like, how do you make a movie about sex trafficking and make it entertaining? The director made it very gritty and very real. Her name is Julia Verdon. And it's really difficult to watch, and no other film has ever done the level of reality of what she does to that when you're watching it. It brings tears to your eyes. It brings, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to that 16-year-old girl. And so when you're done watching that movie, you are so much more alert, especially if you're a parent, you're so much more alert. If you got kids, especially if you've got a daughter, young, you're just incredibly more alert about what you do with your daughter, things you tell your daughter about what to be careful about, what to look out for, because again, it's a real thing and it happens every single day in most cities in our country. Little girls get trafficked.
I cannot imagine. I think about that, Robert, and I just think about, talk about, taking away a person's life, but yet they at the same time, they're still breathing and experiencing all of that. I cannot imagine it.
I don't understand how that's a business and how the people that are perpetrating those crimes could actually sleep at night. A report just came out in Sacramento several months ago. I think it was Sac State did a research study over the last 4 years, and they documented over 13,000 girls that were sex trafficked in the Sacramento region. And you just can't believe that that's going on. And one of the reasons Sacramento is an ideal place for trafficking is because there's the I-5 and there's 80, and it's easy to get out to the Bay Area, to LA, or to go north, or to go east. And so, and I've got a 16-year-old daughter, and my gosh, I am just so cautious, and I'm so careful, and I tell her all the time, whatever she does, to be careful. When you're walking down the street, don't walk next to the street, walk over as far away as you can, or walk with another person. So yeah, you just have to be really careful.
So opening our eyes to just really the reality of what's around us. And most of us, including myself, are terribly oblivious of that. So, okay, so I haven't seen the movie yet. I will, especially now that we've talked about it. So, and I'll make sure that I have a soft place to land once I do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so you mentioned Julia Verdon. Then I think you worked with her on the Maya film too. Is that right?
Yeah. So Julia Verdon, she's been in the entertainment industry for over 30 years. She's made over 36 films, and some of them have gone even to Sundance. She's worked with many of the top celebrities of our time. And so when I started Robert Craig Films a couple of years ago, but really only started full-time about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we wanted to find a consultant to teach us about how to make movies, right? Because I don't want to start over again. We had the wherewithal to hire the best and the brightest. And so we went to Hollywood and found several business entertainment consultants. And ironically, Julia was one of them. And she's got such a beautiful, wonderful heart. And it's just her personality and her demeanor. She wants to help independent producers. So we basically struck a deal as far as consulting. And then, of course, that worked into many other things in helping her out with films that she has with her nonprofit. One of them was The Lost Girls that we spoke about. And another one was Maya. We were much more involved with Maya because we got involved with that film before it was produced. This film is also non-equity based. So again, we're funding a bunch of money, quite a bit, to help her to get the film off the ground, and we get a producer credit out of it. And lots of learnings. And at this time, I've got several people that are working for my company, Robert Craig's Films. And we just had so much fun filming this just this last, I think it was April, And so we all went down and participated in the filming and learning how it's all done. And it's a sex trafficking film as well, but it's done, it shows a different way that the criminals go about taking their victims. The way this storyline flows through the movie Maya is how girls are taken through social media, where the criminals are pretending to be young people, and they look young, but they're older. And they prey on young girls that they can get their social media links, addresses, and they send out what seemingly appears to be a harmless text. Hey, I saw you doing this, or I experienced the same kind of problem you did. Like a girl might post something on Instagram about maybe some sort of harsh experience she may have had, and she sends it out. And, this criminal who's a sex trafficker will text her or will somehow get in contact with her and pretend to have the same kind of problems to be able to create some sort of bond. And then when that bond gets created, that person lures her out and the girl thinks that he's a friend, and they get together, and then they build a stronger relationship. But the relationship is not a real relationship. The sex trafficker is leading her and luring her along just to the point until he can grab her. And at that point, it's too late.
Wow, that is so sobering, Robert. I have a 19-year-old daughter. And everything happens over social media. All conversations happen over social media, Snapchat and all that sort of thing. And so that is incredibly sobering. And I've certainly also witnessed, I've had people reach out to me on social media with various things, and it was clear that it was nefarious. And But I also have, fallen victim to some of these things, not sex trafficking, thank goodness, but other,
Sure.
reaches for things. So this
Me
is so
too.
important. Yeah, it's so important
Yeah.
to talk about this. Oh my gosh, that's just. I want to go grab her really quick. She's home for Thanksgiving. I think I'll go get her real quick and lock her in the house. No.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Um, I mean, I mean, this isn't about the film business, but I was scammed out of $36,000 online
wow.
because I believed I did something I shouldn't have done. I was looking for a tech support phone number, and I looked for this particular phone number, and it was with Bitcoin. And of course, this phone number came up, and I thought it was really tech support, and it wasn't. And it just he talked me into what to do to fix my problem that I was having with Bitcoin, and I gave him all my money, and I didn't know it, but my eyes opened up, and I learned the hard way. And after that, I cleaned up all of my security. I make sure I have a two-step authentication on everything. So it was a wake-up call for me, and I think that's a wake-up call for everybody. We really need to be careful about what we do online.
hmm So you're helping us to remove our veil of ignorance across our lives, Robert. That's what I also am getting out of this conversation. And I certainly appreciate that because I certainly have been ignorant on several levels. Thank you very much.
Me
Um,
too.
Okay, well, let's grab our last break here because I want to hear more about some other films. I'm your host, Dr. Elise Cortez. We are on there with Robert Craig. He is the founder of Robert Craig Films, and he's out to create films that bring a high level of entertainment with spiritually uplifting storylines, and as you're hearing, that educate us in important ways. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Dr. Elise Cortez is a management consultant specializing in meaning and purpose, an inspirational speaker and author. She helps companies visioneer for greater purpose among stakeholders and develop purpose-inspired leadership and meaning-infused cultures that elevate fulfillment, performance, and commitment within the workforce. To learn more or to invite Elise to speak to your organization, please visit her at elisecortez.com. Let's talk about how to get your employees working on purpose. This is Working on Purpose with Dr. Elise Cortez. To reach our program today or to open a conversation with Elise, send an email to Elise, A-L-I-S-E, at elisecortez.com. Now, back to Working on Purpose.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome back to Working on Purpose. One other bit of news that I want to share with you is that the anthology that I've been working on for a while is out. It's called Passionately Striving and Why, and it's a collection of 25 stories from women around the world that I recruited from Australia to Zambia who share their very intimate stories of discovering their purpose and now serving from it. So I hope you'll check that out. I'm also now scouting for men to share their stories. If you know anyone who would like to contribute, then reach out to me. If you're just now joining the program, my guest is Robert Craig. He is the CEO and filmmaker of Robert Craig Films. All right, so Robert, I also want to talk about one of the other films that I discovered on your site here that looks really, really interesting. You're the producer of Amy and Angel, which I understand has been selected in over 132 film festivals and won 37 Best Screenplay Awards. That's amazing. Tell us about that movie.
No, absolutely. So the movie basically is about a 16-year-old girl who's deaf. She wears cochlear implants. She goes to dance class. She gets bullied out of dance class, and she goes home. She's sad. She's crying. She's upstairs in her window looking out, and she hears a dog yelping across the street. She decides to go hang out with the dog. She feels sorry for the dog. While she's there with the dog, they bond, and they realize that the dog can dance kind of magically. And this is actually inspired by true events on Britain's Got Talent. And so they develop actually a routine. They get this dance routine together. And so they decide to reach out and to audition for the national TV talent show, and they get accepted to participate. And while they're doing their routines on TV, they're the dance crew that bullied her out of dance class, they're also there competing too, and then the bullying continues. And at the end of the film, it's basically a film about love and forgiveness and compassion and serving one another, helping one another, without kind of giving the story away. But again, it's another film that's cause related, about the deaf community, about the rescued dog community. And also there's a divorced couple that they get back together. And so that's kind of the summary behind that. And you mentioned the awards. It's probably a good segue for me to mention how important it is. I mentioned earlier to marketing and advertising, right? We're not even going to film Amy and Angel till the end of next summer, 2023. But a year ago, when we acquired the rights to it, we started promoting, and because marketing and promoting is so important, right? So it's like, what can I do? All I got is a screenplay. How can you build an audience? I got nothing to show. So I thought, you know what? I wonder if film festivals across the United States and the world, I wonder if they have screenplay categories, because normally a film festival, it's just for finished films. Lo and behold, I found that film festivals all over the world, most of them have screenplay categories. So we started submitting in hundreds of film festivals across the world. And I didn't think that we would get the success that we have. And like you mentioned, I think we're over 40 best screenplay awards. We've been officially selected in over 15 countries. And it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, that's really cool. And of course, we're getting tons of attention with that. And another thing that we did that I thought that I was thinking about, because everything that I do with my movies, I'm thinking every decision, how does this relate to marketing? How does this relate to promotion? So obviously this is a lead character role, the dog. We need a dog that can act and dance. So we first started to go to Hollywood actor pet agencies, and it wasn't long into there I decided, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I mean, that's what you would normally do, right? And then I'm thinking, forget that, let's turn it into an international promotion, because I bet there's dogs all over the country, all over the world, that can do special acts, that can do special tricks. And so we decided to turn it into a promotion, and we won't have this promotion until probably March or April of next year. We're going to have a $25,000 first prize, $10,000 second, and $2,500 third. And to make sure we do everything legally correct, I decided to hire a contest administrator, and I didn't know they existed. They do. So we're working with one of the best in the country. And so they're writing our terms and conditions. I've already written them, all of our legal documents, and we've already paid out the prize money. I mean, it's being held in escrow through this contest administrator. So we can't wait to launch that, because we have a strong feeling that we might be able to get millions of followers just from doing that. Mm-hmm. And my advice to your listeners, to your followers of your program, if they own businesses, if they own companies, the next time you make a decision of any move or any strategy with your company, you really got to think about how can I turn that into a marketing promotion? What can I do with that to get a bigger audience for what we do? Who can I partner with? What other companies are doing similar things or doing things that relate to what I'm doing that you can partner with? Oh my gosh, that is, I could talk forever, Elise. I mean, that is just like, so don't even make a decision, an important decision with your company, unless you've also vetted out what can you do with that on a marketing standpoint. Do you have a PR team? I mean, again, I could go forever. One of my big things is we have a national PR team now. And oh my gosh, we're getting write-ups on everything. But we could talk about that on the next film when we get to it. Was there anything else you wanted to know about Amy and Angel?
Well, before we do that, first, let me just acknowledge, Robert. I know this is second nature for you, but that idea of running the contest for the dogs is brilliant for just on a number of levels. One, to socialize and open your net, right, to people who wouldn't otherwise know about the film. People's connection to their pets these days is so strong. I mean, right? It's just this morning, Robert, I'll share with you. I got a beautiful email from a young woman in India that I've been working with, and she said, I don't know who else to talk to. She said, I lost my pet of 12 and a half years, and he was the rock of our family. And she says, now My dad's not taking his medicine. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to get past it. And so, I just really appreciate that you've opened the spigot to your beautiful work through that contest. And at the same time, it's brilliant and smart and strategic, and we can all learn from that for sure, Robert. And I'm happy if you want to share another example on that. But I do want to hear. So let me give you that first. If you want to share something else about how we can learn from your beautiful marketing mind, I'd love to hear you talk about that. And then I do want to go back also to Amy and Angel again.
Yep. I think one of my big comments to your listeners would be, don't give up. Do not give up. There are so many challenges as a business owner that you're going to come across, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
They're all out there. Don't give up. Have someone by your side that can encourage you and motivate you during those times when you got this challenge and you just think you can't get around it, but you got a great vision. You got a great idea. But so many of them fall to the wayside because when the people are trying to move forward with their great idea, they just don't think that they can get over it. You have to move forward. I got 30 patents from several countries in the world from ideas that other people didn't think of. And why am I bringing that up? Is because I thought of them because other people didn't, because they gave up. Don't give up. Several of my inventions, it must have taken 50 or even up to 100 ways to try to make it work. And this is with the gutter guard business. I just wouldn't give up. And of course, now it's paid off. I have all these patents, and we're probably going to get another 10 or 15 more. So just don't give up.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Robert. That's just so important. So important. In today's times, I think a lot of people, Robert, the people that I work with, the leaders that I work with, are just feeling overwhelmed by how much the world has changed. So this is fantastic encouragement. Don't give up. And especially, let's go back to your film here, Amy and Angel.
Sure.
Okay, so you can't hear, you're being bullied. And then of course the rescue community here. I really appreciate that you have brought together like several, I don't want to say underdog communities, and in a way that makes them bigger together. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, the deaf community is definitely, I think, an underdog community, and we want to do whatever we can to help bring more attention to them and to make sure that our script is accurate. We hired a consultant, CEO of No Limits. They're a school on the deaf in Los Angeles, and it was so wonderful working with him. She helped us out with the script on numerous occasions, kind of reading through it, things that we wouldn't really know to do. I think one of the scenes when Amy, she's the girl, walks in the door, the particular room, the family room that we were thinking of, the sofa was not pointing towards the door, the front door. It was pointing towards, another direction. And so the consultant said, you'd never have that. The sofa would always be pointing towards the door so that when Amy walks in, she can see who's in there, and just various things like that throughout the script that we were not aware of, that we keyed into to fix, to make it so that it's authentic.
And letting us into that world, right? I remember distinctly, I forget what the name of the movie was, but a blind woman is on a date with a man who can see. When she comes into his house, she counts her steps. And then she said, this is just what I do. And he ends up trying to set the house on fire. And because she had counted her steps, she knew how to get out, even though she couldn't see. That was so compelling for me to understand. Oh, wow. How do you cope in a world of sighted people when you don't have sight? Fascinating.
Right. So those that are deaf have similar situations where they can't see someone or they can't hear someone. You point things in different directions so you can hear and see.
The other thing that I was thinking about as you were talking about, I know, I have had Stephen Morris on my show. He wrote the book called The Beautiful Business, and what he's urging all of us to incorporate beautiful principles into our business, to be able to reach into our various stakeholder communities and do better, serve higher. And it certainly occurs to me, Robert, that you naturally are living and breathing and operating a beautiful business because of the way that you make your films and what you're choosing to showcase.
And I certainly am trying to do my best. Of course, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes too, but learning a lot and having a lot of fun. And the film that we're doing right now that we're going to be filming in January, it's called No Address, and it's all about the homeless, people that are experiencing homelessness. And we're so excited about this. And from a marketing standpoint and from an educational standpoint, we decided to broaden the widget. So our widget that we're making is not just a movie, but we also are producing a documentary. We did 98% of our filming already on the documentary about homelessness, of course. We toured the country when one of these big gigantic celebrity buses, and it was all branded up with a bus wrap. We went all the way across the country from Sacramento to New York, interviewing CEOs and executives of top nonprofit organizations in the country, as well as significant politicians. We even were able to interview the executive director on homelessness from the Biden administration. One of the executive producers on our team has actually worked with 3 presidential administrations as the executive director on homelessness. So we feel very blessed that we have all the right people. And so we'll be reaching out to studios shortly. And so that's kind of the lowdown on the film that we're currently producing right now.
Okay, I can't wait for it. I just can't wait. I'm in. Okay, are there any other projects that you haven't shared just yet that we can just high level introduce? Any other films that you've been working on or are working on?
No, we have one other film that we won't be producing until probably 2024. It's a comedy. It's called The Almighty Yes. It's kind of a mix of Liar Liar and Groundhog Day, where the lead character has to say yes for 48 hours to anything that's asked the person, but the person has to do it. The lead character has to do it with a good attitude. Otherwise, this lead character relives that moment again and again until the person does it with a good attitude.
I like the lesson in that. I do. Okay, we're getting close toward the end here of our time together. I know you have to have an answer for this question because of you're a marketer and a promoter. Very curious to know what the vision is for Robert Craig Films. Where are you taking this thing?
So over the next several years, we would like to continue producing and become a household name on making films like the ones that we've shared with you that are cause-driven and inspire people to action. We have other films that we're considering doing. We wanted to produce films that are based on true stories or inspired by true events. And we would like to have our films shown all over the world from a wide range of everybody that needs to be inspired for whatever walk of life or challenges that they're going through, that our films might be a big help to them wherever they're at in their life.
Okay, great. I love that. Okay, so now how can our viewers and listeners support you? What can we do to help?
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. So we would love it if your audience, if they would like to get an update on our film on those experiencing homelessness, No Address. We'd love it if they would subscribe to our newsletter. If they would go to www.noaddressmovie.com right away, because we have lots of updates that we're doing. That's what I would like.
Okay, great. Awesome, Robert. Well, last thing I want to ask you just on the personal front is, what do you find meaningful and fulfilling about your work?
That's an easy answer too. It really culminates to what I want out of life. Everybody has their own deal of what they want to do out of life, and we can't condemn anybody for what they want to do in life. Everybody has their own calling, their own giftedness. My calling is just to try and help build God's kingdom, flat out. That's it. I just want to build his kingdom. So, because when I die and I go to heaven, because I believe in Christ as my savior, I want to be able to look back and see what I did for him, not what I did for me.
That's beautiful, Robert. Well, in closing here, you probably know, or you may know, that this show is listened to by people around the world. And our focus is really to help create workplaces where people actually want to come to work and do their best. We create those inspirational leaders that lead them to their greatness, and we do business that betters the world. What would you like to leave them with?
I think I would like to lead them with what I shared with earlier, and it's because we're all experiencing the same kind of struggles with whatever business we do, and it would really be just don't give up and follow your dream. Really, I mean, that sounds like Everybody says that, but I mean it. Just whatever your dream is, don't let it go. Things are going to get in the way. Figure out a way to go over those dreams. You need to have an accountable system, have people around you that motivate you and support you and encourage you.
Agreed, Robert. I'm so happy our paths have crossed. I really appreciate getting to know you, being connected with you, and now I know your work, and you have another person who's following your work and is supporting you. So I'm part of your tribe.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Elise. Thank you.
You're welcome. Listeners, viewers, if you want to learn more about Robert Craig and his films, start first by going to robertcraigfilms.com. So that's Robert, CRAIG, films.com. Then, as he mentioned, also check out noaddressmovie.com. So you can learn about that actual film as well. So we'll see you for our next episode. Remember that work is an important and paramount part of our lives. It is the sandbox of our lives where we can realize our potential. So let's work on purpose.
Sounds good.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's program. Be sure to tune into Working on Purpose, featuring your host, Dr. Elise Cortez, each week on W4CY. Together, we'll create a world where business operates conscientiously, leadership inspires impassioned performance, and employees are fulfilled in work that provides the meaning and purpose they crave. See you there. Let's work on purpose.